Hi Cancer, welcome to your January 2021 astrology and tarot reading. So Cancer, first and foremost, just to start off the reading with a little bit of honesty, January is not the easiest month in 2021. In fact, it's debatably one of the trickiest, if not the trickiest, depending on your own personal chart. But I think a lot of people are going to find January is a bit of a hard hitter, especially as I'm filming this. First 2 weeks of January can feel very heavy. We're offloading a little bit since the full moon in your sign. How did that make you feel? Did it make you feel very emotional? Did it bring some interesting conversations into the mix? Did it bring some interesting things to light? And I mean interesting as in shocking, surprising, or outright jaw-dropping, depending on how it aspected your chart. But especially for Cancer rising, but applies to Cancer sun as well, of course. There is a lot going on at the moment in your opposite sign, as there has been for such a very long time. Whenever the big planets, Jupiter and Saturn, shifted out of your opposite sign, obviously then we went into that season. We went into Capricorn season. We have Venus in Capricorn. But what I'm trying to say is that there is a new turning point for you. If you're one of those Cancers that has found love incredibly difficult, or partnerships incredibly difficult or challenging, this new moon is a game changer for you. If you let it be. It's a brand new start. It's really, really deep transformation. Transformation that you can really feel for years when you know that something is different. It's not just that kind of plastering over an old wall, that's cracked and hoping that the cracks won't come through. It's actually building a new wall. I really shouldn't use the analogy of building a wall. This is not what I mean. It's basically trying something new. It's something completely different. A completely different book instead of a new chapter. Because this is based on transformation. Pluto is very much to do with metamorphosis. And many people see it quite scary. It's the underworld, that type of thing. But it's also a butterfly. Butterflies come out of complete darkness, complete seclusion, complete isolation into their most beautiful form that is more free, that can fly and that can reach new heights. There's a reason most people are fascinated by butterflies. It's because there's a part of them we long to be like. And what we learn from nature, we can implement in our own lives. For you, if partnerships have been fine, you can still transform them. You can still have a new start. This could be for you to do with business. Or this could be even manifesting something for the person you love or the person you're in a relationship with. Appreciation. In appreciating what you have, where you are, even if that's tricky at the moment, finding at least one thing you like, your vibration shifts. The point of this card is just that. It is appreciating where we are and the beauty that's in it. She might be surrounded by thorns, but there's still flowers there. There are still flowers. There are things to be appreciative of. For you, Cancer, when so much is sitting across from you in the sky, as it is at the moment, it's important to see what that light is shining on. When the sun is in your opposite sign, it really shines a light on your other side, the part of you that's not always so readily available. The part of you that could be the shadow, or it could be just the part of you that you don't feel so comfortable expressing. Yes, yin and yang. Very strong soulmate energy, I have to say. Angel of love and yin and yang. The vibrations, the energies, the magic to manifest a better time in your love life is very much here. Angel of love and yin of yang. Yin and yang. Yin and yang to me with the 22. The numerology of 222 is about balance. It's about soulmate energy, partnership energy. Then we have the angel of love. I think a lot of you are having your perspective shifted thanks to that new moon in your partnership sign, of what a partnership, what a marriage, or what a long-term relationship, or what any type of romantic relationship really means to you. I think that's under focus. I think that's important with this new moon. And with Venus being there as well, with Venus being in your opposite sign, that's a lot of the time considered as cuffing season. When you start to embrace relationships that are more secure in favor over relationships that are flighty or this or that. It is a new beginning for you in your partnership life. 8 of Pentacles. With so much as well, not the clash, but the conjunction between Mars and Uranus. There's a lot of frantic energy for you, Cancer, in your 11th house. That can mean dreams unexpectedly come true. That can mean manifestations unexpectedly happen, or you have the energy to pursue them. Friendships can challenge you, though. Friendships can feel really unusual at times, or you can make some very unusual friends. Yes, 3 of Cups, the friendship card. You can figure things out a little bit better with your friends. You can have better conversations. You can have more interesting, unusual conversations. But for sure, and I'm only doing a few cards this month because the energy is so much. For sure, it's important to understand that when Mars and Uranus are in the same sign, whatever part of their chart, your chart, they occupy, the energy can be many things. It can be revolutionary. You could absolutely change your group dynamics, whether it's your team or whether it is your community or whether it's a shared project. For you, Cancer, there's a lot of uncertainty and change there that you might find very difficult, particularly if you've worked on these friendships or these group causes or whatever it is for a long time. Knight of Wands. Oh, I saw the King of Cups. That would be you. But Knight of Wands. Oh boy. Neptune in your sector of higher self and travel, philosophy, law, could have you changing your perspective pretty significantly on what marriage and children and family, etc. all mean for you. For a lot of you, this looks like a new relationship or a current relationship getting more serious, maybe with someone you didn't actually think was serious potential. Knight of Wands and the 4 of Wands. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Knight of Wands to the 4 of Wands. That is your transition from footloose and fancy-free to committed in many cases. And this could be in any circumstance, but this new moon for you with Pluto, it really is about serious commitments, especially because the next day Saturn and the moon are meeting. And Saturn's very much about seriousness. And because Saturn has been in Capricorn for the last 3 years, this new moon is kind of, what changes are we going to do for ourselves with the lessons we've learned in these areas? So I do think in some area of your life, Cancer, depending on where this is in your chart, I do feel that something that has felt very fun, maybe casual, maybe almost very footless and fancy-free, very much I believe it would be called a nomadic spirit when you're really moving across the world and really, living in different countries or living out of a suitcase. I don't know if many people can do that at the moment, to be perfectly honest. I'm not as aware of any stories that suggest they can, but I do feel for you that something that has been very flighty is becoming more serious. Again, it could be love. But something's balancing out into something more solid, and I do feel it's to do with the new moon. It's also to do with the fact that the full moon in Leo in your second house of security, the 28th of January, and the illusions of Neptune being in your travel sector, your philosophical sector, causing a bit of friction with your 12th house, I do feel like a lot of you are going to find great comfort in something secure amidst the shakiness, especially if your friendships or the people that you knew seem to be very confusing around that time. Really take a step back from anybody or anything that confuses you and try and assess it. Is it a trigger point? Is it coming from a place of past problems, past trauma, past triggers, or is this history repeating itself and you just simply know better now? Do you know the lesson? Have you figured out the lesson? Whatever it is, Cancer, you're very much rolling with it. I think you're really combining a sense of confidence in the lessons you have learned, with a faith and a feeling that things are going to be different this time around. Things are going to be better in some area of your life. Things are going to feel a lot more secure. And if they don't feel secure now, and especially if they don't feel secure around the Leo full moon, give it a little bit of time. That Leo full moon is very intense. And the reason that it's intense is because there is a little bit of aggression behind it. There's an aggression of how we're perceived. There's an aggression of how we're respected. And for you, that is occurring very much in, a sector that is to do with income and money, but it's mostly to do with security and stability and self-worth. So that full moon can really expose to you, Cancer, just how you're feeling about you and what you can give. Now, thankfully, with that full moon being as tricky as it is, thanks to the aspects of Uranus and Mars, it can implement change. And albeit it's it's quite full of friction, really. Uranus can always go either way. I've seen Uranus be in a trine with something, and it can still feel really surprising and kind of unsteady. But Uranus sometimes in a square motion can really erupt what has been dormant for a while, just so we can fix it, just so we can move past it, just so we can work on it. If it's better to know when something is shaky. But what I feel for you, Cancer, mostly is that things aren't as shaky as you feel they are. I do think for a lot of you, because, since 2017, especially Cancer rising, but for all of you, especially since 2017, you've had a lot of shocks, you've had a lot of hard lessons, a lot of hard knocks, and I feel that for a lot of you, adapting to Saturn and Jupiter being out of Capricorn, you almost felt better until you probably realised that there's this new moon connecting with Pluto in Capricorn, and then you felt a little bit emotionally spooked because Capricorn's your opposite sign, and when the moon is in Capricorn, it's sort of, it's not necessarily the best astrologically speaking. But within it, because of this Sun-Pluto conjunction, there's an opportunity to really transform. I actually have the Sun conjunct Pluto at 0 degrees in my own birth chart, and what I will say about it is that in terms of identity, you can really change who you are in your partnership. So what I want to say is that if you have a particular label where you regard yourself as divorced or unlucky in love or a player, whatever it is, if you have a set label for yourself and you just think, I've outgrown this, I would like this instead, you regard yourself as divorced, but you would actually like to be married again, you will, with this new moon, stop regarding yourself as divorced, for example. Your identity within your relationships is changing. And maybe even in some partnerships where it's uneven, where you've been chasing after somebody else, maybe they start chasing after you. Or maybe you have this person you met online that's never been serious, and now all of a sudden you're serious. Whatever it is, Cancer, it's a beautiful new moon to begin these things. It's a beautiful new moon to begin these changes. And I'm sorry to drone on so much about relationships. It's just where the sky kind of is for you at the moment. Yeah, it kind of is. Sorry. But obviously, with Taurus and Uranus connecting in your 11th house, one thing I will say is be careful with the internet. You might notice at points in January that technology in general is just not working for you. Electronics are funny around you. You might notice that you could be working on something and then, delete it, back up. Just take extra care. Mercury will retrograde at the end of the month, and it will be retrograding in your 8th house of intimacy. You could actually hear from somebody from the past. It could be this playboy, playgirl person that suddenly wants to be with you again. And I don't say that cavalierly. It is genuinely to do with the astrology and the cards. But most of this month will feel a little bit Mercury retrograde-esque for you in particular, I think. But you're very good with Mercury retrograde, even if you think you're not. I think you're probably the one sign that can handle the revision more than anybody else. It can handle that little bit of insight into the past in a way that feels at times nostalgic or comforting, to reminisce, to revise. Mercury retrograde is actually a beautiful time to watch old movies or listen to songs from the past, wear old clothes from the past, whatever it is. It can be very vintage rather than just a pain in the proverbial. So Cancer, if you want to go into the extended where we get into the fire sign, the Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, or the water signs, the earth signs, or the air signs, you can join me at the link listed below for a more in-depth look at the astrology and the cards. And if not, Cancer, have a beautiful month and I'll see you soon. Bye.